I didn't know who he was, right? But he definitely remembered me. And he was like, yeah, I remember you because you played sports, like you were super popular and all this stuff. And I was like, me? I'll be telling her, like, I just want a friend. Listen, I'll probably be like, I don't know, like a famous YouTuber or something by now. Hey guys, welcome back. You are watching Ohheyshaylife. Welcome back to my lifestyle vlogs. My name is Shay. And as you guys can see, we got a little bit of a different setup for today's video. It's not necessarily a vlog. I decided to just come and sit down and talk to y'all for a little bit, you know, just a little chill, little chit chat situation, because I realized that I never really sat down and talked to y'all or really kind of formally introduced myself, right? I just kind of started YouTube and I kind of gave this broad overview and started making videos every week. So I thought that it would be a good idea just to come and, you know, let you guys in on a little bit of my life and how I started in YouTube and how that whole thing is going. And let's see, life as a stay-at-home mom, life as a military spouse, all that good stuff. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do today. Hope y'all ready, because we got lots to talk about. Okay. I was a little nervous, you know, doing a video like this, because I'm like, what do I say? Like, you know, you don't want to divulge too much, but you know, like I said, it was laid on my heart, so here I am being obedient. Okay, obedience is better than sacrifice. Okay. So here we go. So anyways, like I said, welcome back to another video. And let's see, where should we start? I already told you guys know my name is Shay. I am a woman of God. I am a wife and I am a mother. Yes. So you guys have seen my husband pop in a few videos. You've also seen my kids pop in a few videos. You've seen my dog Bentley pop in a few videos. So that's Shay in a nutshell. Okay, my family is very important to me. So let's start off with YouTube. So let's see, I started YouTube. Let me go to my page. So my first video was December 7th, 2024. Okay. Actually, fun fact, guys, is that I started YouTube back in 2009. Okay. So that was my first actual video on YouTube back in 2009. It didn't go far. I wasn't consistent. I wasn't ready. And, you know, for multiple reasons, you know, life was life at that time for me. And so I think I just wasn't ready to like get into all of everything that YouTube would require of me at that time in my life. My son was 3, almost to be 4. And I just had given birth to my second son. So I was busy, right? I was a new mom, you know, all that good stuff. I had went to cosmetology school for makeup. And after I finished that and, you know, I was super excited about it. I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna start a YouTube channel just doing makeup. You know, I was like newly natural at that time. And so I had did like a big chop like 2 years prior. And, you know, I was getting into like the natural hair community. Like that was really just kind of popping off on YouTube at that time. And I was like, you know what, let me try to like jump on this train and do makeup and hair and stuff like that. And so I recorded my first video and it was pretty cool. Like, you know, I felt like, okay, this is something that I could really do. And I started to get into like the editing side of it, and that's where it ended. Listen, that editing took me out, okay? And that was the end of that YouTube channel. I'm laughing, y'all, because it's funny, because I just wish that I would have kept going. You know, I wonder where would I be now if I had kept going, you know, making videos and just remain consistent with it. Listen, I'll probably be like, I don't know, like a famous YouTuber or something by now. So anyway, but it's all good. I'm not complaining. God's timing is always the perfect timing. So let's get back to where we are now. So December 2024, I started my YouTube channel again. And this time I was ready, okay? I heard from God. I knew that it was something that He wanted me to do. And I was ready for it. Like I said, okay, I'm going to take on this challenge. Like, I'm not going to let nothing hold me back, you know? So here we are. Probably, I don't even know how many videos I have up on YouTube, but I feel like I have been pretty consistent since December, with the exception of like missing a couple weeks here and there. But for the most part, y'all have gotten a vlog every week, okay? Your girl has been on it and I'm loving it, okay? I have really been able to get creative with editing, and I've learned a lot. I've taught myself along the way, so I'm proud of myself. Give myself a little pat on the back for that, okay? So yes, let's see. I'm looking at my notes, y'all, because I want to make sure I stay on topic and I don't forget anything. So, how is YouTube going? Slow. It's going slow, okay? And I knew that starting out, right? I wasn't trying to start this as like a get rich quick scheme or anything like that, because if any of you know about YouTube, like I spoke about in a previous vlog, it is definitely a marathon and not a sprint, okay? So I knew that going into it, and you know, I'm willing to do whatever I need to do to make it, okay? I know that it's a process, and I'm not trying to rush that process by any means. I'm just here because God said be here. So I'm here, okay? Making videos and just trying to encourage people, you know, by just doing lifestyle vlogs, okay? And that's pretty much it. So before I get to the camera that I'm using, so when I started out back in December, I was using my phone to record all of my videos and stuff like that. And, you know, that was cool. I guess I wasn't willing right away to go out and purchase a camera because, you know, I was just like, okay, let me just kind of ease my way into this. I don't want to, you know, go out and purchase an expensive camera and then maybe if something doesn't work out or whatever. So I just was vlogging on my phone, you know, walking around, holding my camera up, vlogging myself, vlogging when I would go places and stuff like that. And that was working out fine. But obviously my ultimate goal was to get a camera, so that way I wasn't using my phone, because what I would find is that when I was walking around recording, if I got a phone call or I ran out of storage or anything on my phone, that was it. Listen, it was a struggle when I first started because I was constantly having to delete stuff off of my phone because I was running into storage issues and all that stuff. So I really just wanted my phone to be used as my phone and not as what I needed to record my videos for YouTube. So Christmas time, I was able to get the DJI, I want to say DJI, I don't know why I always want to say that, DJI Osmo Pocket 3. So that is what I've been using to record all of my videos, and I'm loving it. Like, it has made vlogging so much easier, and that's that. So as far as my equipment, it's working out. Okay. I've gotten a lot of accessories for my DJI. So I'm able to use it when I go to the gym. I just have this magnetic mount that it just fits right into, and I'm able to, post it up on any of the equipment, and it's really discreet. I don't have to be in there like with a tripod or anything, and it's really small. So I'm able to record myself doing my workouts and all that good stuff, y'all. So thank you, DJI, for coming out with this wonderful vlogging camera, because it's been amazing. So what have I learned from YouTube thus far? The main thing is to be consistent. Okay. I have watched countless videos on, just starting out as a content creator, becoming a content creator. And the main thing that I've been hearing from every video that I've watched is consistency. So, and I knew that going in, that was always a goal of mine, to be consistent, to make sure that I post weekly, and make sure that I'm creating content that is engaging, right? I want to create something that you guys will be happy to watch and look forward to seeing every week. Like, I don't want to be boring and stuff like that. So I want to make sure that my content is engaging. So with that, I've also learned about having your niche, right? Which is, what are you going to be on YouTube talking about? Like, what is something that excites you? So for me, that was vlogging, right? And with that, like lifestyle vlogging, that so much goes into that, right? Because it's everything. It's lifestyle. I'm cooking, if I'm cleaning, if I'm out with my family, like if I'm doing a makeup routine, I show y'all my outfits. Like, so much goes into, what my lifestyle is. Okay. So with that, I have also learned about the algorithm, the YouTube algorithm, right? And that basically is YouTube putting out your videos to who they would think wants to watch them, pretty much. Let me give y'all the actual definition of the algorithm. It determines how content is filtered, ranked, selected, and recommended to users. Okay. So when I first started to dig all into that, the main thing that I kept seeing was that make something that's trending. Like, I kept seeing that everywhere. Make something that's trending, make something that's trending. And for me, I feel like, yes, sometimes, here and there, like, I don't know if you guys notice on my channel, I have shorts on my channel where I'll do putting together an outfit, or mostly it's putting together an outfit or cooking or something like that. And those have done really well for me. But as far as vlogging, it's hard to do vlogging according to what's trending, because it's just my lifestyle, right? And I want to come through as being the most authentic. So I struggled with that in the beginning, because I feel like, okay, well, if I'm going to make a video based off of what's trending, then is that really authentic to who I am? And really it's not, because I'm just doing it because YouTube is saying, hey, make this video right here, right now, because this is what's trending. This is what people want to see. This is what's going to get you the most views, the most likes and stuff like that. And so I don't know. I just decided not to do that. Okay. So I just make weekly lifestyle vlogs, just based off of what I have going on in my life. And that's the way that I feel like I'm able to be my authentic self. I'm just coming on here, I'm just talking to y'all, I'm just taking you through my daily life, and that's it. I'm just being me, right? And so that's the way that I feel like I'm going to remain consistent, because I'm able to just be me. So I know that may be not the right way to do it, but I feel like, listen, if God's got me here, then what he has for me will be for me. So I'm gonna just leave that right there. So anyways, guys, YouTube has been fun. I'm loving it. I've been able to kind of come out of my shell. I don't know if y'all remember, I don't even know how many vlogs ago it was. It's been a while, but my husband had alluded to the fact that he was shocked that I started YouTube, because if you guys don't know, I'm kind of a reserved type of person. I'm an introvert at heart, okay? I hope it doesn't come off that way on camera. Like, I hope that I'm engaging to y'all and y'all like my personality and stuff, but I am very reserved. I am definitely an introvert. And so when he was like, you about to make YouTube? You about to be talking to all these people? And I told him, I'm like, listen, I'm talking to them, but they are not right in front of me. What's right in front of me is this camera, okay? And I can do that with no problem. So, but it has helped me to, like, you know, come out of my shell a little bit. Not that I'm a total recluse or anything, but I am a reserved person, and, you know, I gotta kind of warm up to people, if that makes sense. My husband is complete opposite. He is a social butterfly. He doesn't meet any strangers. Listen, he could talk to anybody. Me, I'm not that way so much, right? I want to lead into, like, you know, being a military spouse and being a stay-at-home mom, because I feel like, I don't know, I guess if I go back to like my high school days, y'all, I feel like I had a great friend group. You know, I felt like, you know, people knew who I was. I was heavily into sports, track and basketball. So, you know, I met a lot of people through sports. And it's funny because probably about 6-7 years ago at this point, I had took my kids to the clinic for their checkup. And so I walk in, and the receptionist, he looks at my, you know, my identification and stuff, and he's like, hey, he was like, did you live such and such place like in 7th grade? And I was like, what? And he said, yeah, did you live such and such place in 7th grade? And I was like, yes, I did. And then he was like, I remember you. Great, true story, y'all, I kid you not. And I was just really like taken aback because I didn't know who he was, right? But he definitely remembered me. And he was like, yeah, I remember you because you played sports, like you were super popular and all this stuff. And I was like, me? And yes, so I guess so. So I say all that to say that I feel like now in this stage of my life, I'm not that same person. And not that it's necessarily a bad thing, because we all grow and we all change, and, you know, as we become adults and stuff, and that's not a bad thing. That's what we're supposed to do. But being a military spouse has kind of changed me in the way of just kind of being isolated a lot, if that makes sense. So for all of you out there who may be military spouses or have, you know, lived that life, or you know someone who is a military spouse, y'all know that sometimes it could be a bit much, right? Like, you know, we are afforded the luxury of being able to travel and see all these different places and move a lot and stuff like that. And that is great in itself. But the flip side of that is that it can also be very lonely, very isolating. And so I think that's what I've kind of dealt with in my life, like over the past however many years, just kind of trying to navigate the life of a military spouse, right? Because you know how it is for all of y'all who are military spouses out there. You move like every, you know, sometimes 2 to 3 years, and it's just like a cycle. So I'm looking at my notes, y'all, so I keep looking down, but it's just like a cycle. So you move, and when you get there, you're like, man, I don't know anyone here, you know, like I just don't know anybody. And you kind of, you know, you lean on your family and stuff like that, your husband, your kids, and, you know, you just kind of make it through. But you're still just kind of trying to figure it out. It could be very overwhelming, right? Because most of the time your husband or your whoever it is, the wife or the husband who's in the military, they're able to kind of go into their job, and there's people there, they meet people right away, and so they're kind of integrated into this already made system where they don't have to go through the whole, man, am I ever going to meet somebody? Am I ever going to find that person who gets me, or am I ever going to click with somebody here? You know what I'm saying? Like, they just kind of get to just ease on into their position, and they meet people, and they just go from there, right? And then you get into this, so you're like, okay, so you move and you're like, okay, I don't know anybody. And then after a while, things start to settle down. You get your furniture in your house, you get moved in, you get the kids settled in school, and everything starts to level out. And then you're like, okay, I've gotten used to this. Like, this is gonna be okay, Like, I'm like trying to figure out, I'm already figuring out where things are at, and I've kind of learned my way around the city, and this is good. Like, this it's not so bad. I can get used to this, right? And everything starts to get good. Like, for me, once I find a gym, then okay, I can kind of ease my way onto everything else, right? Make sure the kids are good in school, like they're comfortable. Okay, I'm starting to really love it here. Like, maybe I met a couple of ladies, and we've got integrated into church. Okay, this is gonna be good, right? I'm starting to love it here. And then the cycle. It's time to move. And that is what happens over and over and over again. So just imagine having to do that every 2 to 3 years. For me, it became where I was just like, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like, what's the point of trying to meet people? What's the point of trying to make friends? What's the point, right? Because I'm going to meet these people, and then I'm going to start to feel like, okay, this could be something that I can get used to. Like, I'm really liking this place. And then you're shipped off again. And so that's the cycle that I found myself falling into. And then on top of that, guys, when like your husband or your wife or whoever is in the military, when they deploy, like, that's another thing that you have to, it's just thrown at you all at one time, So you move to a place, you start to get comfortable, and everything is going fine. And then they say, well, your husband's about to deploy. And that was my life. I can't even count how many times my husband has been deployed and he has had to leave, and it's just been me and the kids, and I don't know anyone, and I'm just kind of just there to figure it out, right? And so I would just kind of become a recluse, really, because I was like, what do I do? There were many times when my husband would deploy, and y'all, listen, I'm just being honest. I would be like, I'm not doing this. I'm not. I would get a plane ticket, and I would fly back home to where my mom and dad was at, okay? Because I'm like, I'm not staying here. I don't know anyone. I have kids. Like, at that point, we had our 3 boys, and they were small, and I just wasn't having it, So I would fly back home to stay with my parents and to just have, family around and stuff. I did that a few times, and then, there just came a point where I just had to put my big girl panties on and say, you know what? I just need to stay right where I'm at and deal with it, okay? And so that's what I did. I just stopped going home all the time. My husband would have to leave, and I would just deal with it. And by me doing that, I unlocked a new strength, you guys. So I'm telling you guys this because, for all of you out there who are stay-at-home moms, who need spouses, you can do it. Okay. Like, I know that it may feel just like it's just way too much, when your husband has to leave and you're there with the kids, you're in a new space and you're in a new city, a new state, and you're just like, listen, I cannot do this. But when I decided that I'm able to do this, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have to run back home every time my husband leaves. I can do this. And once I did, like I said, I unlocked a new strength, like within myself, because I was able to get a job. I made sure that the kids stayed in sports, so that, we kind of take their mind off of, their dad being gone for so long and stuff like that. I would keep them busy. I was busy, and it just kind of flowed. Like, I got into my groove of, okay, even though my husband is gone, like, life still goes on, and also, guys, I wanted to show him that I'm able to do this. I didn't want him to have to be over there worried about, oh man, like, I wonder how my wife is doing, is she able to sleep at night, or, just, is she feeling overwhelmed? Is she feeling stressed? And yes, don't get me wrong, like, there were times when I felt like, this is a bit much. I'm feeling overwhelmed. There were times when I got depressed and, all those things. But through it all, I was able to keep my faith, right? Stand on God, which is, if y'all look at my banner on YouTube, it says anchored in Christ and walking by faith. Okay. Because if I wasn't anchored in God, listen, I wouldn't be able to do any of the things that I did, And so I know that, being a stay-at-home mom sometimes gets that, that little stigma, like, you're just a stay-at-home mom. And I'm laughing, but I struggled with that for a long, long, long time, you guys. Like, struggled, okay? Because we all have thoughts and plans for our life and things that we want to do. So for me, when I finished college, I was always like, okay, I want to be a businesswoman. Like, that was always my thing. Like, I want to be a businesswoman. I want to be walking around in my nice pantsuit with a little briefcase and walking into the glass buildings and stuff. That was what I thought for myself. I really did. And so when life happened and, God had other plans for my life, I really struggled with that. Okay. My husband, he could attest. I struggled with that. When we would go places and stuff, and, they obviously knew that he was in the military, and I would be really like hoping that no one would ask me, so what do you do? I hated to get that question, because I would just kind of like clam into this shell, because I always thought that being a stay-at-home mom was just not good enough. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, what, I don't know. I guess it's just this stigma attached to it for me that I've seen, just personally, y'all. I'm just talking about me, that I have seen, that people, they just like, oh, you're just a stay-at-home mom, and then so that started to rub off on me. And I would say, when people would ask me, what do? I would say, oh, I'm just a stay-at-home mom, and I would feel like so ashamed to say that, because I felt like it just wasn't good enough, like I wanted to be able to say, I work for da 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 da, you know what I mean? Like, I wanted to be able to say that, but I couldn't say that in that moment, and that just really bothered me. So I am telling y'all that because for any of you who feel like there is a little bit of shame attached to being a stay-at-home mom, I'm praying for you. I really am, because I had to work long and hard to remove that stigma off of myself, that insecurity off of myself, that no, I'm not just a stay-at-home mom. I am a stay-at-home mom. I'm a good wife. I'm a good mom. I do what I have to do to take care of my family, and that means something. Okay. So that's where I'm at today. But listen, it took me a while to get to that place. I had to also, show my kids that I can be strong in my position as a stay-at-home mom, right? I didn't want them seeing me down and depressed and always complaining about wanting more. Like, did I want more as far as like a career and a job and stuff like that? Of course. And I think that's okay to want more. But I also had to be okay with where God had me, in those moments, right? And so just be encouraged, all of you who are stay-at-home moms. And if you're struggling with that, just be encouraged and know that your job is very, very important and you do matter. Okay, you matter. Being a military spouse, there are so many things that come with that that I struggled with, like as far as friendships and I touched on a little bit having a career and stuff like that, because you move so much. And I was able to get little odds and end jobs here and there when we would move and stuff, and I would get really integrated into a few of the positions that I held, and then it would be, okay, you're leaving. So I would have to quit that job, and then when I get to somewhere else, I go to submit my resume to all these different places, and sometimes there would be gaps in my resume because I wasn't able to find a job, so there would be years that I wouldn't work. And y'all, it's just so much when it comes to being a military spouse that I feel like it's not talked about a lot, or at least I haven't seen it, as far as the struggles sometimes that military spouses may go through. And so that's why I'm here, just kind of telling my story a little bit, just in hopes that it encourages somebody. But yeah, so with that not being able to get a job, and like I said, that cycle of just, you meet people and then you move, and then I got to the point where I was just like, what is the point of even doing this anymore, right? And so there, like for me, I'm in the space now where I don't really have like a, how you hear people talk about how they have like their lifelong friends, how they have their girlfriends that they've grown up with and they are still friends as adults and stuff like that. Y'all, I wish I had that. I really do. I talk to my mom a lot, and I be telling her like, I just want a friend. I really do. But listen, y'all, I'm kidding, but I'm not. Because I really have struggled with that as well, as far as like just having that core friend group, or even just one person, if I could be honest. And for years, I would ask God, like, why? Why do you have me in this position? You know what I mean? Like this position of really isolation, where I'm not really having that access to community and just friendships and stuff like that, because that stuff is really important. I would just ask God, like, why do you have me in this season of isolation where it's just me, myself, and I, okay? And still to this day, if I could be honest with y'all and transparent, I'm still feeling, in a sense, that season of isolation, right? Where, I meet people, of course, and I have acquaintances, I would say. But I don't really have, just that core friend group, you know what I mean? Where if I want to go and hang out with somebody or something like that, I could just call them up and be like, hey girl, let's go da 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 da. Like I just don't have that person in my life. But I know that it's coming, right? I've gotten to the point where I've stopped asking God why, and I have really just leaned on him, because I feel like once I do that, once I really just lean on God and realize that I don't need anyone else but God, then He will provide me with, someone, I guess, and I'm just leaving it all in His hands. That's where I'm at with that. But I'm just telling y'all all this because I just want to be an encouragement for anyone out there who is feeling like life as a military spouse or life as a stay-at-home mom has been difficult for you. I understand. I do. And so, I just hope that, within this video, we can create a community where if someone needs to talk about anything or whatever it is, if you need prayer, whatever it is, then, we can talk in the comments and, figure it out. You know what I mean? Because it's going to be all right. Sometimes you just have to just take a deep breath and just tell yourself it's going to be all right. And that's what I tell myself all the time. I'm like, listen, God, I don't know how you're going to do it, but I know that you will. Okay. And that's what I lean on every single day. I don't want to hold y'all too long. I probably already talked for long enough, but I just wanted to, come in and just tell you guys a little bit about me, just give you just a little bit of insight of my background as a stay-at-home mom, my background as a military spouse, and just encourage y'all. Okay, listen, He has me in this position right now as a YouTuber, a content creator, and I'm loving it so far. I'm happy to be in this space. When I started this whole thing, I just prayed. I invited the Holy Spirit in just to lead me through this season, to give me grace for this season. And I know that He has me right where He wants me to be. So I am walking in that. I'm being obedient in that, even when I am afraid. Because yes, there are times when I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, bro. I don't know. And so I just try to push through that fear, because God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind. So listen, I'm going to do what God has called me to do, and I'm doing it scared. Okay. And so that's what I just want to encourage you guys with and challenge you guys that, whatever it is that you're going through, if you're feeling afraid to do it, but you're also feeling this nudge from God, just step out there, because listen, He ain't gonna leave us. He ain't. He's not. He ain't. He's not gonna leave us, right? He's not just gonna throw us out there to the wolves and be like, okay, you figure it out. Okay? As long as we are walking in His will for our life, it's gonna be all right. It really is. I'm telling myself that too. Okay? So anyways, guys, I hope that you guys enjoyed this little chit chat, sit down, get to know me type video. I hope I didn't talk y'all heads off, but I also hope that I was able to encourage at least one person, 2 people, 4 people, okay? So make sure you guys like, comment, and if you think anyone would benefit from this video, share it. So with that, I appreciate y'all. I really do. I thank you for coming back and watching my vlogs week after week. And with that, guys, I will see you guys next week. Back to our regular scheduled program with our weekly vlogs. Until then,